Russian researchers claim to have unraveled the mystery of alien abductions. Are they right? Find out next on The Edge. Greetings, fellow fringe connoisseurs. I'm J. Jordan Hawk, and you're watching On The Edge. Well, it looks like those Russians are the latest to try to debunk the alien abduction experience. In an article published in the latest issue of the International Journal of Dream Research entitled Emulating Alien and UFO Encounters in REM Sleep, 3 Russian dream researchers at the Phase Research Center in Moscow revealed their research into the alien abduction experience, and their experiments suggest that those who experience alien abductions are really just having very vivid dreams. More specifically, the researchers assert so-called abductees were experiencing something known as a lucid dream. I've discussed this phenomena in other videos, but lucid dreaming is basically when you awaken inside your dream and are thus aware that you are dreaming. You can even control the dream like some kind of Star Trek holodeck. The study itself involved 152 volunteers, many of whom had experienced lucid dreams before. These volunteers had to induce a lucid dream, and then, according to the article, try to find or summon aliens or UFOs. And the results? 114, or 75%, contained descriptions of successful alien UFO encounters in their dreams. The authors continued, for 61%, aliens looked as expected from fiction movies and books. For 4%, aliens were invisible, but the volunteers somehow knew it was them. For 19%, aliens looked like ordinary people, but the volunteers somehow knew it was them. 10% were inside a UFO at some point, and 3% flew on a UFO. The authors thus conclude that this confirms that the alien abduction experience is real, but an entirely psychological phenomenon. While I'm happy to entertain psychological explanations, I have some problems with this study. First, this is not a randomized sampling of the worldwide population. It's not even a random sample of those who claim to have had actual alien encounters. Rather, it sampled, non-randomly, those who could willfully induce a lucid dream. So, to what extent this population is indicative of the claimed alien abductee population is impossible to say. Furthermore, the researchers did not address whether or not the lucid dreamers knew upon awakening that it was all a dream. I think this is important because in my own experiences, when you lucid dream, you know it's a dream. And when you awaken, you know you are awake. You don't confuse the two. This is also true with sleep paralysis. When you're having a sleep paralysis experience, you don't necessarily know that it is sleep paralysis. But when you awaken, you immediately realize it was just a dream. This, of course, is not true of those who claim alien abduction experiences. Some don't even remember the experience until after they've been placed under hypnosis. And when they do recover those memories, they think they are real. Also, the lucid dreamers in this study were specifically told to try and initiate contact with aliens while in the dream state, thus prompting the experience. The researchers then used the prompted experience as evidence that it can't be real since it happened in a dream. Well, no one was ever claiming that the dream was real. Heck, in a lucid dream, you could pretty much conjure up anything you want from real life. Imagine you're hiking through the rainforest if you want, but the fact that you can dream that doesn't mean people don't actually hike through the rainforest in real life. Finally, many abduction experiences actually occur while the subject is awake, not asleep. Thus, lucid dreaming is an impossible explanation. Such abductions also sometimes involved 2 or more alert individuals, again rendering impossible that the claimed experience was all a dream or even a hallucination of any kind. This is true of many of the more well-known alien abduction encounters, such as that experienced by Betty and Barney Hill way back in 1961. If you're not familiar with that event, Betty and Barney Hill were a married couple driving home late at night in New Hampshire, but 2 hours of missing time and torn clothing ultimately led them to seek out psychological help, and after hypnosis, they both recalled their frightening alien abduction experience. In 1975, another famous abduction experience garnered national attention when Travis Walton, who was in the forest with 6 co-workers, all claimed a UFO abducted him. His co-workers were so terrified that they drove off, leaving Travis behind, and then became suspects in his murder, until Travis Walton finally showed up alive some 5 days later and recounted his terrifying experience. So in the case of Travis Walton, we have actual witnesses beyond just the abductee to something very strange and unusual. They were not dreaming, and neither was Travis. Now, if you want to dismiss all cases where the abduction involved awakened individuals as fraudulent, then you have a problem involving selective use of data. If a credible person who was sleeping claims to have been abducted, then yeah, we can explain that with lucid dreaming. If a credible person who is awake claims an alien abduction experience, well, conveniently, they are a liar and can be left out of your data set. Excluding all data that doesn't fit your hypothesis is a really good way to flunk science. In fairness to these Russian researchers, they do limit their conclusions to, quote, bedtime alien UFO encounters, unquote. But you could read the entire article before getting that qualification, and alas, it's being left out entirely in the popular media accounts of this research, since those accounts were written by journalists who evidently failed to read the entire article. Who could blame them? The article is 10 whole pages long. That's even longer than the Pentagon UFO report. Journalists don't have that kind of time. Still, I give these Russian researchers credit as trying to take the alien abduction experience seriously enough to even look for a naturalistic explanation. That would also likely get you an F in science as well. Science prefers just to assume it's all made up, thus we don't need to study it. I call this the Neil deGrasse Tyson method, to contrast it with the actual scientific method, as Tyson recently admitted that he not only doesn't know what we're seeing in the Pentagon UFO videos, but that he's completely uninterested in studying them. That extreme lack of intellectual curiosity when confronted with a mind-bending phenomena is quite disturbing coming from a respected scientist. Follow the data, Mr. Tyson. Don't ignore it. So, you Russian dream researchers, thank you very much for adding some respectability to this field. You joined the ranks of Harvard psychologist John Mack, who took this seriously way back in the 1990s and came to a very different conclusion, that people who claim to have had alien abduction experiences were actually experiencing something real, not psychological. Harvard may have shunned him for it, but science thanks you very much, Dr. Mack, and so do I. What do you all think of this? Does lucid dreaming explain the alien abduction phenomena? How would you explain those pesky wide-awake abductions? Is it all made up? Or is the universe way stranger than we think? Leave your thoughts down below, especially if you're Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's our show for today, everyone. I'm your host, J. Jordan Hawk. See you next time on The Edge. If you like On the Edge, be sure to hit like and subscribe, and check out my 3 award-winning young adult novels, Puka is the Outcast, A Scout is Brave, and Unwatchigi, the Dreamer.